People love or love to hate annual income recap videos, which is maybe partly why I didn't do one last year after doing some form of one annually since 2020. Although I did actually share the number and talk a little bit of money in my 2025 ins and outs video. But somebody recently commented on one of my old ones saying that they wish we had one of these trends every year. And it made me start thinking about why I started doing it in the first place and why I stopped. In the end, making me think, let's talk about it. And while we're here, take a peek into my finances for those who are curious, because a lot changed last year. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Kea, and this is Creating with Kea, where I share all of the behind the scenes, opinions, thought processes, struggles of being a content creator. A full-time content creator. And that actually brings me to why I started telling the internet how much money I make in the first place. There are a lot of preconceived notions about being a content creator, influencer, YouTuber, blogger. And I feel like a lot of people think either one of two things. One, that if you are a content creator who has the capacity and income to do this full time, that you are making a lot of money. Like multiple six figures, you can afford all of the luxuries in the world, yada, yada, yada. Or people believe that you are only really killing it as a content creator, you can only take it full time if you have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers, subscribers, viewers, whatever. And both of those things are not correct. And that is actually why I wanted to start talking about money. I hoped that in documenting my own journey as a content creator, that I could help just dispel some of these myths and shine a light on the reality of things. And I do want to quickly say before we continue, content creating is such a your mileage may vary career path. Everyone's journey is so unique. For every case study of success, you will have an example of somebody who failed by doing the exact same thing or succeeded by doing the exact opposite. So me hoping to share my journey online is to hopefully show like one aspect of what this career can look like, but it's not going to be the same experience for every other creator. So the first time I shared how much money I made online was in 2020 when I had made $10,000. I was still working my day job and I had fewer than 10,000 followers on Instagram and like almost none on YouTube. This YouTube channel didn't even exist yet. This was the first year too that I really started to take my content creating seriously. I started approaching everything more as a business and I was actually starting to see some traction because like the year before I had made pretty much nothing. And as I was talking to other content creators and influencers kind of around my same level, I was noticing two drastically different things. There were people at my same follower count that were like absolutely killing it, making tons of money on brand deals, and others at my same following level that had not made a single penny. Brands were reaching out, but they didn't know that they could charge these brands actual money for the content they were creating. There just wasn't a lot of information available, and I felt like the fact that creators weren't talking about it was just like furthering this creator wage gap. And I also hoped that in sharing how much I was able to make, that I could encourage somebody else to pursue content creating for themselves if they hadn't started yet, but had been really thinking about it, or to motivate another creator to actually start approaching things as a business and therefore start earning more money for themselves. And this sort of attitude I had towards sharing my income, I feel like continued over the next couple years. In 2021, I think was the first time that it became an actual trend where people were posting just like the numbers of how much they had made every month as a content creator. And when I saw that trend, it already aligned with what I believed about the value of income transparency, and I jumped on it. And that year I had jumped from 10,000 to about 70,000. I was still working my day job and I still had under 10,000 Instagram followers. And I think that whole combination really showed people that, whoa, it was possible to make a full-time income that could rival a lot of people's day job salary. So the video blew up. It went viral. The reception was honestly overwhelmingly positive. Of course, there's always trolls. There's a lot of people that are either don't believe you, like I got a lot of people saying I was lying, or there's people that are just like, you know, it's not classy to talk about money, but overall, I think it really resonated with people. And so I did the trend again in 2022. It also went viral. This time it went more viral on Instagram. And I don't know if this was a platform thing or just general sentiments that people were having. It wasn't as kindly received. Definitely still a lot of positivity, a lot of people reaching out saying like, how are you able to make that much money? You don't even have that many followers. But I felt like the negativity was kicked up a notch. Then in 2023, I felt like it was a conversation that maybe just needed to be had with an audience that were either content creators or aspiring content creators. So I didn't share it on Instagram and only shared it on YouTube. And that whole summary brings me to some of the thoughts and feelings that I was having when it came to posting this year. Because I do have like an external reason why I didn't post and like a personal one, and maybe one that's kind of in between. Let's start with the external because we're already on that thread. So I feel like the social media landscape has changed a lot. I think during COVID, people were hurting financially, but I feel like because people had more time on their hands, there was this sort of hopefulness about it. A lot of people launched small businesses at the time. A lot of people started on social media and had their big come up during COVID. I feel like when I talked about how much money I was able to make, it was seen as more inspiring, and people kind of had that feeling of like, okay, that's so cool, I can try that, I want to do that too. And so when a video also would go viral and reach an audience that wasn't like your normal audience, the reception was still relatively positive. But as time has gone on, and the state of the world seems to be like increasingly on fire, the landscape I think has understandably changed. People are going to be a lot less kind and optimistic and hopeful when they're just scrolling randomly through their Instagram feed and a video pops up that says, here's how much money I made in 2023/4/5, whatever. And I think that is completely understandable. And again, is kind of why I moved last year's or 2023's onto YouTube only. Because the way the YouTube algorithms work, like unless something is going like disgustingly viral into like the millions, YouTube is still going to test your video. It's going to put the thumbnail on the feeds of people who are likely to consume and enjoy your type of content. If there's somebody that like never watches anything about how to make money, how to start a business, how to do any of that content creating, blogging world type of content, my video about how much money I earn is probably not going to show up on their feed. So it has like a smaller chance of offending. Offending's not the right word, but it just won't seem as out of touch with like the larger public. I also think that where I am at personally in my career as a creator influences how these types of videos are received or perceived. So 1, I am no longer doing this as a side hustle. 2, while I am still relatively small in the grand scheme of the content creating space, I am not as small as I once was. The idea of making money with fewer than 10,000 followers feels a lot more accessible to people than it does now that I have like 17,000 followers on Instagram. Although I think the same like principles and value applies about being like, you can do this without needing tons and tons of followers. There's tons and tons of creators out there that struggle to cross that 10,000 mark across their platforms. And I think a lot of people mistakenly believe that if they just cross the 10,000 mark, all these opportunities will be unlocked for them. So when somebody sees my content, they don't know that I started earning good money before I reached this point. And then there's number 3, which I think is quite interesting. It's that I have launched digital products now in an effort to diversify my business, help creators, alleviate some of the pressure of answering like the same questions over and over again to strangers in my DMs. I have developed a mini-series, a paid mini-series to help people land their first brand deal. And I've also played with some other digital products around Pinterest and stuff as well. And I think that people immediately and understandably perceive these type of income recap videos differently when people are also marketing a product or a service off the back of it. It makes people kind of automatically think that people are being less authentic. So yeah, those are kind of like all of the external reasons I feel were kind of at play that were making me think like, okay, like maybe I won't do one this year. Then there's number 2, the external/personal reason why I did not share my income in a formal recap video last year, is that I made significantly less money. And we're gonna get to why in the personal part, or you'll already know if you've caught any of my recent videos. But I think that ties into a lot in the external perception thing. Like, people just always want to see progress. We personally always want to see progress. People are drawn in by thumbnails and titles that tease big numbers. So I think I also just got in my head a little bit about sharing, because like it wouldn't probably perform as well because it doesn't have all of that perfect sweet combo of like the first time I went viral. And I think also there's a part of me that was like, okay, people lack a lot of like critical thinking online. Like, they also don't watch things the whole way through. So I feel like people would just like see the numbers and like then go right off all of my knowledge that I share on this channel and be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She only made this much this year. Don't follow any of her advice. So I feel like that held me back. And we're gonna get into why that is actually a BS excuse. But then there is the final reason why I did not post, is that the year came and went. I literally barely noticed it was the end of the year, and that's because I moved to a new country. I moved to Hong Kong, and this ultimately had me dropping off the face of the earth, barely posting on any of my platforms, not making any money. I'll try not to rehash things too much. These 2 videos kind of provide just like a little bit of extra context to how I was feeling and just like where the year went. But we moved to Hong Kong August of last year, and we knew we were going to move as early as February of last year. So from February to August, my brain was mush. I was pretty much only focused on the future and in preparing our home to leave. So I wasn't posting as much. I wasn't getting on as many brands' radars. And I definitely saw like a direct correlation in like brand deal opportunities trickling off. Still grateful that I got a decent amount, and really grateful that I managed to sign like a decent amount of year-long partnerships in January. So that kept me like kind of afloat throughout the year. And ultimately, when we moved to Hong Kong, I wasn't posting anything. I was just living and trying to set up a new home. And when I did finally start posting again, my inbound like brand deal requests actually picked up. I had some brands reach out that were absolute goals for me, but when they found out that I was in Hong Kong, they didn't want to bother engaging in a partnership, no matter how much I tried to like counter pitch them with ideas that would absolutely work while I was here, yada, yada, yada. That absolutely tanked my income, pulled my focus, to the point where it didn't even cross my mind to do a year-end recap. So all that being said, why am I here now talking about it? And why am I about to give you a bit of a peek into my finances from last year? I feel like I've been really reflecting a lot on getting back to the heart of this channel, which literally started by being transparent about my income. Like, that's the first video I posted. The first people that started watching my videos were people who came from my viral TikTok about income transparency. And I think that like in the spirit of transparency is in sharing the highs and the lows. Like, it's gonna be valuable to people no matter what. And that's why I think like my hesitancy in sharing, because I didn't earn as much before, is BS, because like that's not very transparent or authentic if you're only sharing when things are going like super well for you. So here we are. We are about to pull up my income tracking spreadsheet for the year, and I do hope that it's insightful and still honestly inspirational in some ways, because I do know that still at this point, though I made much less than I did last year, as we're gonna see, especially when it came to brand deals, I know that I'm still making more than somebody out there at my same like follower count level, somebody out there who has been trying really hard to make this work as a business, but has not been able to see like the return on their investment and their time. And so I hope that they can see some motivation on that side of things. And I also hope that it's a bit of a reality check, because as content creators, especially ones that are a one-man show, your output and your income potential is literally directly tied to you and your life. So when you have a big life change, if you don't have the systems set up to like keep things going throughout, or if you don't have the capacity to show up the same throughout that change, then your income's gonna take a hit. So I hope that that's also helpful and insightful. So last year, where's my Google Sheets that I made? Drumroll. Grand total is $79,339, just shy of a nice round 80K. And this is where the reality check's gonna come in. So in my last year's video, I shared that a brand new shiny income stream had entered the villa, and that is commercials. I was really hesitant about including it in my revenue as a content creator, but everybody in the comments was like, no, absolutely, you should keep it, because this revenue wouldn't have even happened if I wasn't content creating. I had never in my life been like, I want to be an actor, I want to be in commercials. That was not a thing on my radar or a goal of mine. But in creating content online, an agent saw my content and was like, would you consider doing this? I'd love to represent you. And I unlocked commercial acting as another income stream. And literally so beyond grateful for that, because that was a huge chunk of my money last year. If we took that out of the equation, I would have made $56,000 as a content creator, because 23 grand was from commercial income. If you are a content creator who is very comfortable on camera and want to explore another income stream, I definitely would explore getting a commercial agent. It was just a really fascinating process as a creator who loves like gear and all of these different things, to be able to be on set with all these different things happening and like just see a different side of the marketing world, because it's all still marketing at the end of the day. Yeah, very fascinating, rewarding experience, both as a creator and financially, so consider it. So then for my brand deal income, I earned $45,664. Affiliate income was $1,207. Ad revenue, $3,988. That's both ad revenue for my YouTube channel and my blogs. YouTube was pretty funny for me though, because I started out the year like decently strong, and then I did not post on YouTube for like 5 months. And I was still making like $100 a month. Nothing crazy, but it was pretty cool to receive a check passively. Digital products, like almost nothing, $150. My merch, if you wanted to see my whole like merch launch process, definitely go watch this video. I don't know what I was thinking, because I launched sweaters in the summer, in June, and then I moved to Hong Kong 2 months later, where it was like 31 degrees and incredibly humid, and I couldn't wear sweaters, and I literally like never promoted them again. So yeah, I made $130, which actually is not bad, because I think my profit margin on them is only like $5 or something. So I mean, that's kind of cool. I did sell like a decent amount of them, but definitely if you're curious about the process of launching merch, watch this video. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. And I think that I will hopefully in this next year, maybe talk about them a little bit more strategically. One-on-one calls, I made $900, and other, I had $3,984. And other for me is like speaking opportunities, UGC work, or did I put my UGC in brand deals? Hosting and moderating type jobs, etc. Yeah, here's the snapshot month by month. I always love looking at like the month to month on these, because no matter how successful a year is, there is no consistency in my month to month revenue. It's always up and down. And I, again, love to highlight that for people who want to go into the content creating space full time. It is more consistent the more like passive income streams you have, especially if you have some type of like membership offer where you know you're gonna get a certain amount every month, but otherwise your months are gonna look different every single time. But these numbers are also a little bit deceiving, because when you look at the brand deal section, it actually looks like I had a really crazy month in September and December, but those are actually just me receiving payouts from work that I did like sometimes 3 months prior. I don't think I signed a new brand deal opportunity like after, let's look at my Instagram. The last time I had really got on new brands' radars was like February for Black History Month. I had a bumping Black History Month. I got the chance to work with Sephora. The last 6 months of the year, I only posted partnerships with 3 brands, and all again were signed in January. And around that time, like I had said, there were brands reaching out, like Best Buy reached out for a holiday campaign, but I was no longer in Canada. That one's gonna hurt for a long time. Anyways, that was so long and rambly. I apologize, but I also kind of don't. In this whole vein and thought process around like transparency, authenticity, I am really thinking more about how I want to use this channel. And I think it's probably going to be just a lot more real talk. Here's my life. Here's my rebuilding process as I start working in a new country. I did share in my content strategy video for this year that for this channel, I did have a goal of working with more software as a service companies, more companies that did not rely on my geographical location. And already things are looking up. Already we have about 15 grand on the books signed for this year. I'm starting to get on some local brands' radars, although the Hong Kong market seems a little bit behind the West when it comes to financially compensating creators. So we're working on that. And yeah, I think we're gonna have lots of heart-to-heart chats. We're going to be super vulnerable, and we're still gonna share lots of lessons and learnings, but I think I'm gonna try to tie them up more closely in my personal journey and the story of like how I've learned those things. Yeah. If you're interested, appreciate you. If you made it to the end of this, I appreciate you. Would also love to hear what you guys think about talking money on the internet. I feel like it's a pretty interesting conversation. Do you feel like the reception of it and the perception of it has shifted? Do you feel like anybody who talks money is an online grifter? Let me know. Please do share. Thanks for watching, and until next time.